we're back at the Cannabis Means Business Expo, brought to you by Greenlife. That's the first time I actually said that, so I gotta be honest with you. But we're at the Cannabis Means Business Expo here in New York, June 2025. This is the final day. It's been a wonderful conference with people gathering to learn, teach, share, do business in the cannabis industry. And I'm pleased to be joined by a very special guest, Gordon. Good to see you from Greenlife itself. How you doing?
Sir. Hi, doing great. It was a great conference and beautiful New York City. So can't beat it.
So tell us, I want to know about Gordon. I want to know about Greenlife. I want to know everything. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Greenlife or you want to start with Gordon?
You know what? Let's start with Greenlife and then we'll segue into Gordon.
Okay.
How about that? So Greenlife Business Group, we are the largest cannabis business broker in the United States.
Okay.
Put that into context. High Times. Everyone knows High Times magazine. That's a legacy brand, right?
Yes.
So they had a whole portfolio. They had dispensaries, they had cultivations, they had the cannabis cup. They went up for sale. The first person,
yes,
and the only person that they called for them to be sold was us.
Okay.
So we took that, we sold it. It was big news. Then State House, huge MSO. They had a number of different dispensaries all throughout California. They were grossing right around 160 million. First call to sell it, us. So we do those big deals, but also we also do the small deals. So I just sold a $50,000 license in Seattle.
Okay.
So we don't really discriminate. It's the full vertical. It can be cultivation, processing, manufacturing, or your dispensary, or just a license.
Seed to retail.
Seed to retail.
Ancillary and auxiliary companies as well?
The Ox companies, not really as much demand. Our bread and butter is flower touching.
Okay. So any licensed cannabis hemp?
Yep. Hemp. We do
Hemp
that
as well.
The demand for hemp isn't as strong, so you have to be a little bit patient if you're a seller. But yeah, we definitely do it.
What's the oddest thing you've sold?
Ooh, the oddest
And
thing.
I'm actually very familiar with like the High Times sale.
Yeah.
And how that pieced up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to Josh from Raw.
Okay.
And I guess he bought the last piece of the IP, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
He was telling me that a couple nights ago.
Yeah, it was
He's
interesting.
like, how did he know that? I get around.
Clearly.
Yes.
Yeah. So High Times was actually kind of interesting because it had an IP component that actually had value to it. So that was a little bit out of our wheelhouse. A lot of people, they come to us.
Helped you sell that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, like 6 months ago, I told people the thing that you should buy from High Times is the IP.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I really didn't help you, but I was spreading that word out there.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Should have asked for a commission.
Dimitri, you should have.
I really should have.
You know what?
Just tell the truth. You know?
Check will be in the mail, not disclosing what the value might be. Might be zeros. We'll see. But
you guys, well, I don't know how much.
Just says
I don't know how much he paid, but go ahead. So, anyways.
Yeah, so valuing that IP, a lot of people, they come to us and they tell me, you know, we have one of the top 10 brands in X state, Washington State, Oregon, something like that. But that brand and that IP is intrinsically tied to the flower. So you have a cultivation, it's one of your top brands, you're pushing that flower out to, you know, maybe 100 stores in your state. I'm not valuing that IP separately because it's tied to that product. Right? So it's not like you can just take that IP and plop it somewhere else. It's tied to that flower. So when I'm looking at a cultivation, that's different. But with High Times, the magazine, the legacy, that is intrinsic to our space. So that had a separate valuation. So that was a little bit of a journey for us because most times IP is just tied to the business.
And it shouldn't be all about that, but how do you value something like that? I mean, it's also what the market will pay, but how do you even start?
So I mean, I've been an attorney for 15 years.
Yeah.
So as with anything that's new, you have to say, listen, I can't give you an answer right now, but I'm going to go and look into it. I'm going to research it. And I'm going to figure it out. And it really comes down to comps.
That's the old attorney trick. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a non-answer.
It's a good life trick. It's like life hack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're not sure about it, you generally don't want to answer it. Just buy yourself a little bit of time. Say you'll get it back to you in 2 weeks, and just kick the can down the road.
I like it.
Yeah.
Smart. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, my role with Greenlife and my experience moving from High Times valuations to Gordon, who I am.
Yeah.
Sorry. Who the hell's this guy?
Oh, yeah. It's unshackled to be going these rabbit holes, and it's an interesting story. We could probably do a whole day-long podcast on the High Times experience, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also there was so much demand for it too.
Yeah.
When you have a listing where you're getting all the calls, and then even if it's being chopped up, you're just making sure that all those moving parts are really coming together.
Back to Gordon.
Yeah, back to Gordon. So actually, that kind of a good segue with that. Balancing those moving parts is kind of what my life is. So I joined Greenlife 6.5 years ago in my role as the managing director of nationwide M&A, which that's a fancy terminology for me, just being the person that expanded Greenlife. Greenlife had 80% of the market share as far as cannabis listings in the state of California. And then the CEO of the company came to me. I was the attorney for Greenlife, and he said, Gordon, I want to go and expand into other states. Can you look into it? And so I prepared, an invoice. I said, listen, it's going to be 150 to 200K for me to go ahead and do that for you. Drew was like, you know what? Let's make a deal. He's a deal maker. So he's like, I'll give you a percentage of all the transactions. You run that nationwide expansion. So I expanded it in 23 states. Lo and behold, a year and a half later, got well over 200,000 at that point. Now Drew's regretting not paying me 150K.
Right.
Because I made a lot more of the 6.5 years. So
you're in 23 states.
23 states.
Well, technically you're kind of in every state. I mean, you can do
every state. Yeah. I mean, if there's demand, but what we do is we hire a local commercial real estate broker that more or less helps us with that side of the transaction, because we're only licensed as real estate brokers in the state of California. So we had to put together a framework where we have people that are on the ground that can do the site visits, that have that local knowledge. And then what we have is our knowledge as far as the cannabis space and market trends. And the benefit of someone talking to myself is that I'm also a court-appointed expert in cannabis business valuation.
Okay.
So I've gone through having adversarial counsel question me on the witness stand as far as my knowledge in the space. And we've closed over 300 transactions. No one comes close.
Right.
So I can talk to what the value of X business is in X state. And I've been grilled on it a number of times. And every judge I've come before, they say, yeah, he's an expert and knows what he's talking about.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. If I knew as much about women as I do know about cannabis,
If that was important to you.
Yeah, if that was important. Yeah.
International, you guys doing that as well?
Actually, that's kind of fun. I mean, I guess it's an unofficial announcement, but yes, we are going to be expanding internationally.
I drew something out of him.
Yeah.
Okay, you're expanding internationally.
Yeah, we're going to be expanding. Our first step is going to be into Canada. That rollout's going to be at the end of Q3. And then also at the beginning of Q4, I'm going to be in Bordeaux, France, for our first EU. So we're expanding into the EU as well.
Q4, Bordeaux, France. So there's a conference there, right?
There is. Yep, in October.
I thought we maybe were going to that one.
Yeah, we might do a yacht party on that.
Love it.
They want to do a yacht party out there, but we like to plan 6 months ahead of time. And
me too.
They've been planning.
Yeah, they're planning pretty fast on that one.
Yeah.
But we're fans of them. They're good people.
Yeah.
And so in the cannabis space, you got to be agile and nimble and figure it out and roll along with that. So we might see you there.
Yeah.
We'll definitely see you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or actually, what we'll see is the Greenlife MITA Unshackled podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, I would love that.
You're an attorney. You're good at speaking. You can host people.
I can host.
You can have my job here.
If I had time. I still have my own law firm and I do entertainment. I own multiple businesses on top of that.
This is true. You have things to do.
Yeah.
But the more people see you out there, the more it will lead to other business and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
You need to hire more people to do what you're doing so you can be more out there.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I was on a panel today. I was on a panel yesterday, 10:30 in the morning. Whoopi wanted me to take her role, but I didn't have the availability. But
Are you working with the Whoopi brand or
no?
Hopefully that's not for sale.
I'm kidding. Not yet.
No, you only work for things that are for sale. And that's I'm just thinking about that interesting moment in time when people sell, why and when they sell. That's interesting.
Yeah. So people sell for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
One, it could be that they're cash strapped. They can't raise the funds. Capital markets are kind of dry in the cannabis space.
Yeah.
They're not really getting a loan, and definitely not from a FDIC insured bank. And then other people, they feel like they're at the top of market. So they want to sell as well. Or in New York, the great opportunity here is people are just getting licenses, getting a location, which that's very hard to find. You can't be within 500 feet of a school, 200 feet of a house of worship, and 1,000 feet of another dispensary. So once you find that location, you already got a golden ticket right there. So you can just flip it if you want.
So you guys sell the real estate as well? Just locations available?
Yeah.
You guys have a series of locations available, licenses?
Just
licenses, paper
floating
licenses.
licenses. Yeah.
Excellent. I love what you do. It's great. There was a time when I was thinking about doing this. That's too much work. I'd rather be talking to people. I'd rather be interacting with people.
I'm jealous. Maybe one day.
Well, it goes along with our slogan we say, A bud tender with a dream, an owner with an exit strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things we do on Meet on Shackle, if you know that, what we like our audience is people in the industry. If a bud tender wants to learn about the industry, if a management wants to learn about the industry, if a C-suite or an owner, they want to learn about people in the industry and network in the industry, they can do it because most people can't be here at this conference.
Right.
You know, and they're trying to advance the industry. Where are they getting information? How are they going to find out about you?
Right.
Also, college kids, college age kids who are looking to, you know, learn about the cannabis space, the cannabis businesses, what people are doing, who's in the space, where do they go? You know,
Right.
all
Yeah.
community colleges and stuff are just getting started on all their little cannabis business programs, which you and I both know kind of suck.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's very underwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else do people know about Greenlife?
Well, we're dynamic. So we're always keeping track of the market. You know, the market can shift on a month-to-month basis or generally it's on a quarterly basis, and we're keeping up with those trends. I personally write a number of articles for a bunch of different periodicals that I bump out there, do interviews and all that. But we keep up with the market knowledge because we're the authorities in the space. Drew likes to brand us as the market, and we are the marketplace. So people come to us, like High Times being us being their first call. We know what the price is. We know what the value is. So we're going to push it and we're going to make sure that we're at the leading edge because we don't want someone else coming in saying our valuations are off.
Every attorney should know who you guys are.
Every attorney should. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They get a lot of business. They would. And I can't do the legal side of it. Yeah, because it would be a conflict of interest. If I'm the broker, I can't be the attorney too. You know, work at the deal.
I like that.
Yeah.
You're going to be in charge of international expansion, or it's going to hire? So you got to get people. You got to get more minions out there.
I do. You know, I'm going to spearhead it, and then I have some good staff that are going to be able to pick up the pieces when I say, "All right, I need this, this, and this, and this."
No, you have that radio voice. You know, you should be out there doing. I mean, well, you are. You're here speaking, but
yeah,
this is the first time that we've met on the podcast. So
yeah,
but we'd love to. Maybe we should definitely do this together in Bordeaux.
Yes, absolutely.
You guys don't have to sponsor it. We'll just co-host and get a feel for it. Well, it's like September, right?
Whoa.
So you guys are like one of the big sponsors of this show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't kidding about that.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice lanyard you have right there.
Yeah, look at that. They got the lanyard, and see, that's smart. The lanyard sponsorship is always the best sponsorship at the conferences.
It really is.
Because people take the Instagram photos. I do not know why everybody doesn't jump all over that one.
And what's great is I'm talking to someone, they're like, oh, Greenlife, who are you with? I'm like, oh, that's me right there.
Yep.
Yeah. We're the front booth. Yeah.
Do you also advise people as to whether or not it's a good idea to sell this time and moment in time kind of stuff?
So
you kind of stay out of it.
Generally what I say to people, specifically with New Jersey, people reach out to me and they're like, is this a good time to sell? Best time to sell was a year ago. Second best time to sell is right now. And generally in the cannabis space, when we're dealing with new markets, the best time to sell is as soon as you're willing to, because historically, and we've been in California, we started in California, and I know what that trend is. And we know the mature markets. We're in Oregon, we're in Colorado. These are all old markets in the cannabis space, and valuations are not going up. You know, once you are full retail, I mean, converting from medical to retail, you might see an uptick in price, right? But once all the licenses are being issued out, then you're dealing with saturation, and then the prices are going to go down. I sold a retail dispensary in Jersey City for $5.4 million a year and a half ago. It's back on the market now. It's selling for less than 2.5.
Yeah, I knew you were about to say that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's all about first to market. And if you're not coming in first to market, then you're in a tough way. You know,
thinking about that poor guy that lost $2 million.
Yeah, that was a tough call, you know. But there's also people that come to me and he's
not like, calling you and saying, "Hey, I'm buying something."
I get a lot of sad people too.
Yeah.
But sometimes being a counselor is also just counseling people through their heartache, you know. And I've told people you should sell, and I tell them what price I'm going to sell it for.
Yeah.
They come to me 6 months later, like, "All right, Gordon, we're referring to the email. We have an email chain, and I have that price there." And he's like, "All right, I want to sell for that." I'm like, "I can't sell for that."
No.
I mean, I could take that listing. I could list that price. No one's going to buy it.
Yeah.
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 Because I'm in the business of selling businesses, not in the business of getting listings. So you got to get the right price. And when I tell you that right now is the best time to sell and you're getting the best price, it's a guarantee. If you can get a better price anywhere else, I will eat my words and I'll pay the difference.
Wow. You know, it's just such a crazy market. And these things are so complicated. How do you advise people when somebody says, and this is what I've been thinking about a lot. The price of cannabis flower is going to keep on coming down and down and down and down over the years.
Yeah.
How's that going to impact the value of these businesses? They're eventually going to come down.
Yeah.
So it's just such a tough situation.
A great case study of that was actually in Massachusetts. So they had the recreational that opened up in 2019, right? Couple shops opened up, cultivations are being built out, people are doing full verticals, these elaborate, gorgeous cultivations. And I've walked through them. I mean, some of them are medical grade facilities, gorgeous, but they were presuming that the price per pound of cannabis was not going to drop below $1,200. From 2021 to 2022, October to October, it went from 2,200 to 1,100. And then what happened? Cultivation started going under. It's because they didn't bake it in. And it seems like it's the legislators and some of these operators that are coming in and they're not looking at the other case studies. Like New York regulators, look at the mistakes that California made. Look at the mistakes that Colorado made. You already have the blueprint. Why are we reinventing regulations every other week? We're getting injunctions put in place by courts in December. There was a full-on panic here in New York. I had to fly out here to deal with like panic clients in order to get things closed.
You weren't ever a prosecutor, were you?
I'm a trial attorney.
Okay, but what they're really doing is there's somebody in that whole scenario who's bamboozling somebody and lying and not telling the truth to somebody on the back end, so they continue to do what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that is really what's going on there, and that happens a lot in this industry.
Oh yeah,
it's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I've seen it for years. I've looked at performance. And when I first started in this industry, when I was totally naive and didn't think about these economic factors and all the different nuances of the cannabis space, I looked at all these pro formas in Arizona in 2012, August 2012 through August 2013. You can remember the years.
Yeah.
And they all had these like, $3,000, $4,000 a pound. And it's like, what did I know?
Right.
Yeah. I didn't really think about it. Then after a year or 2 or 3 years, started to realize what was going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
There's still the next investor out there that can be bamboozled. Do you help with investors and advice? You give them?
Yeah. I mean, they come to me and they ask, whether it's a good buy or not. I also serve as an advisor in that way. And I'll give an estimation on a business. They'll give me the details on it. And I mean, with the investors, people they get into bad deals.
Yeah.
You know why? Because my dad always said this, there's an ass for every seat. So their investors are going to get into bad deals, and it's because they don't have good counsel. And that's legal counsel and a broker or an expert that can come in and be like, this valuation is nonsense. This pro forma does not calculate.
Yeah.
And, we don't even sell potential. People, they come to me and they say, Gordon, my business has a ton of potential. Look at what we're going to be doing in the next few years. I'm not selling potential. I've never sold potential. I sell what your business is right now. If there's fat that you can cut the fat and have it reflected in your P&Ls. If you can't do it, then the P&Ls are what we're dealing with right now. If I'm telling you it's a multiple on the EBITDA and it's 1.75, don't tell me to make it 2.5 because you have some pie in the sky expansion, or you're going to start doing a delivery. Do the delivery and then come back to me and make sure it's reflected in the P&Ls.
What is the best state to buy in right now?
Oh,
that's
New York.
Technology question. New York
right now. That's where all the demand is.
New York's
everyone's making a move. Yeah. And right now is the time to buy because you're going to be able to get that location.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be fully built out. And you're not going to have an operator that would have done some bad advertising, might have like upset the customer base. So you could be first to market in New York. And there are still good buys here. There's still good locations, good opportunities to get a good build out. And once they start getting all the smoke shops and all the illicit sales, once they get that handled, it's going to be pretty profitable. So New York's still a good buy.
Do people have the chutzpah? I have lots of questions, but we only have a certain amount of time. We got to do more of these podcasts.
Yeah.
Because you are a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge. Just a real quick question. Do people have the chutzpah to come to you and say, hey, I have a vape pen brand and I want to sell it?
Yes.
They do?
Literally so came to be on in this show with that. It's just like a vape pen. Okay. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. It's like,
I think we know a couple of vape pens in this space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't need to sponsor shows. So they don't need to talk to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's wild stuff, man. Well, we got to do a part 2.
Yeah. Part 2.
Where you go? You going to be in Benzinga?
Next week, no. I just got. I was in.
What's you not in Benzinga?
I was in Tokyo. Then I was
That's
in,
where the money
I was
is.
in Bali. I was in Hong Kong. Now I'm here. I need to get home. I need to get on my boat in the bay.
There you
Take
go.
a minute.
What was happening in Bali? Cannabis in Bali or like recreation in Bali?
Surfing in Bali.
Surfing in Bali. Okay.
Yeah.
And Hong Kong, do they have cannabis yet? No.
No, that was a whole nother type of meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
no worries.
Yeah.
No worries. Okay, well, so you're gonna marry Jane in Berlin?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll hang out in Mary Jane in Berlin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll hang out.
We got
Mary
Berlin. We
Jane,
got
Berlin.
Bordeaux. I mean,
Well, you go to Cannabis Europa in London? That's right after
Uh,
Berlin.
not on my calendar yet. I might have to.
Okay,
Since I'm
we
going to be
should-
there
It's be a
anyway.
good one.
We're
This
gonna be hanging out more.
Yeah, we'll coordinate calendars. for sure.
Definitely. But you know,
Like a roadshow.
I highly recommend Berlin. Berlin's a really smart play for
Mm.
American executives. Because it's like, for example, Ted from Alien Labs. I always use him as the best example. I didn't know Ted from Alien Labs, and there we are in Spain and Cannabis a few years ago.
Yeah.
At an ICBC, and Destiny's like, "Hey, this is Ted from Alien Labs over," and she
You just
introduced
hang
me.
out.
And I started talking to him because I knew Alien Labs and stuff. But he had like 300, 400 employees at this point and stuff. And he's just hanging out.
Yeah.
So a lot of these executives come over there to shows like Mary Jane and Cannabis, et cetera. And they just, they're exploring, they're taking a little bit of vacation.
Right.
They're coming to, they're trying to understand the world and cannabis and seeing what's happening. So highly recommend the European shows, and we'll see you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We'll
we
see you on
really
the road.
appreciate you sponsoring this event.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll see you here next year.
Yeah.
And this has been another.
This has been another episode of MITA Unshackled.
Thank you. Nice.
Love it.
See you again.
So much.
Great to see you again. All right.